There are moments when the best response is no response at all. When distance appears, the natural instinct is to chase, to explain, to close the gap. But true power often comes from stepping back and allowing silence to speak louder than words. What follows when you choose not to engage is a chain reaction, psychological, emotional, and magnetic, that reshapes the entire dynamic. When attention is removed, something fascinating begins to unfold, something subtle yet incredibly powerful. The absence of energy is not just a lack of presence, it is a statement in itself. Silence begins to speak in a way words cannot. And the impact of that absence lingers longer than any heated conversation or desperate attempt at explanation. When someone is used to receiving attention, used to being the center of your focus, the sudden void catches them off guard. The rhythm changes, the flow breaks, and in that break, curiosity takes root. Human beings are wired to notice shifts in energy. When the warmth that once existed suddenly cools, when the voice that once echoed in daily life fades away, the mind instinctively begins to wonder what happened. It is no longer about the words said or the actions taken. It is about the missing presence that once felt reliable. The power of absence works like gravity. The more it is felt, the stronger the pull becomes. Silence triggers imagination, and imagination is far more powerful than reality. The mind starts filling in the blanks, creating stories, assumptions, and fears. What if the attention has gone elsewhere? What if the value once taken for granted is no longer available? What if the space created will never be filled again? These questions stir emotions, and emotions, when ignited by mystery, carry far more weight than logic ever could. That's the paradox. By doing nothing, everything changes. Absence does not simply create curiosity, it creates contrast. When you are present, the mind adjusts, normalizes, and begins to take that presence as a given. But when you step back, the stark contrast highlights just how much energy you used to bring. What was once background music becomes a sudden silence in the room. The missing notes scream louder than the song ever did. It's in that emptiness that appreciation grows, because people rarely recognize the value of something until they feel the loss of it. This is why ignoring or stepping back often turns the tables without effort. It creates a shift in perception. It forces the other side to recognize what they had and what they may be losing. Attention, after all, is one of the most powerful currencies in human connection. When you stop spending it freely, its worth skyrockets. Suddenly, your silence is no longer just a pause. It is a statement of self-worth. It is an unspoken reminder that your energy is not infinite, and it will not be wasted where it is not honored. And so, the power of absence becomes undeniable. By withdrawing attention, you do not chase, you do not beg, you do not explain. You simply allow the void to do the speaking. That void grows heavy, pressing on the other's mind, whispering questions they cannot ignore. It is in that silence that the shift begins, and once that shift has taken root, the balance of energy is never the same again. When space is given, when no reaction follows the withdrawal, something profound takes place internally. Ignoring does not just create silence in the other person's world, it creates a reset within your own. It is a pause button for emotions that may have been running wild. A quiet moment where you reclaim control over what you feel and how you respond. In this reset, the storm begins to settle. The constant need to overthink, to analyze every word, to search for meaning in every gesture slowly fades. Instead, there is breathing room. Breathing room to feel without chasing, to think without pressure, to realign without being pulled by someone else's rhythm. This kind of reset is powerful because emotions often cloud clarity. When the focus is on someone who has stepped back, it is easy to spiral into confusion, questioning your worth, replaying scenarios, and creating endless stories about why things changed. But when you choose to ignore, you cut off the cycle of feeding those emotions with constant reactions. Silence gives you the distance needed to see the situation for what it is, not for what your emotions have exaggerated it to be. You begin to notice patterns. You begin to ask yourself deeper questions. Why do I feel the urge to chase? What does this silence reveal about what I truly want? Am I holding on to something that honors me, or am I holding on out of fear? This reset is not only about understanding the situation, it is about understanding yourself. By stepping back, you begin to strengthen the muscles of self-control, self-awareness, and self-respect. You learn that not every action deserves a reaction, that not every withdrawal must be met with pursuit. You begin to see the value of your own energy and the importance of protecting it. In this way, ignoring is not passive. It is an active choice to place your peace above someone else's inconsistency. And while you reset, the other side feels it too. Silence is not empty, it is full of unspoken meaning. The absence of your attention forces them to sit with their own thoughts, their own actions, and their own reasons for pulling away. They are left to face themselves without the comfort of your presence softening the edges. That space creates discomfort, and in discomfort, reflection begins. Just as you are resetting your emotions, they are being forced to reset theirs. This mutual space can transform the dynamic. Either they realize the value of what was lost and are pulled back with clarity, or you realize that their distance is not worth breaking your own peace for. Either way, the reset serves you. It restores balance. It brings back perspective. It reminds you that silence is not weakness, it is strength. Because when you stop reacting, you stop giving away your power. And when you stop giving away your power, you regain the calm and clarity that was yours all along. Mystery has always carried a magnetic pull. What is hidden tends to attract more attention than what is fully revealed. When distance is created, when availability is withdrawn, the effect is not simply absence, it is intrigue. The human mind cannot resist filling in blanks. Silence becomes a puzzle, and the unanswered question becomes louder than any explanation. This is where ignoring transforms into a force of fascination, because it turns something predictable into something unknown. The less someone knows about what you are thinking, the more their curiosity grows. Curiosity in turn fuels desire. When the energy, once directed toward them, suddenly disappears, the mind scrambles to make sense of it. It begins asking questions in rapid succession. Where did the attention go? Why is the warmth missing? What changed overnight? And those questions are not easily silenced because the brain is wired to resolve mysteries. Unlike clear answers, uncertainty leaves an open loop, and that open loop keeps tugging at attention until it is closed. By ignoring, you create a loop that lingers, a space that demands to be filled with meaning. Mystery also changes perception. When you are fully available, every detail of you is accessible. Familiarity can be comforting, but it can also breed complacency. It is only when availability fades that the ordinary suddenly feels extraordinary. What was once routine now becomes a memory that stands out more sharply because it is no longer present. That absence paints your presence in a different light. It elevates it, gives it weight, makes it feel rare. And rarity is always valued more than abundance. This is why distance does not weaken attraction. It often heightens it. When you are not chasing, when you are not explaining, when you are not rushing to fill silence, you allow space for imagination to take over. Imagination is always more powerful than reality because it amplifies, exaggerates, and idealizes. What the mind cannot touch, it desires even more strongly. And so, mystery becomes a spark, pulling energy back towards you without a single word being spoken. But the beauty of mystery lies not only in the effect it has on the other, it also reshapes you. By withholding your reaction, you cultivate self-restraint. You remind yourself that you do not need to over-explain or prove your worth. You embrace the power of being less available, less predictable, less ordinary. You become the unknown, and the unknown always captivates. The mystery effect transforms silence into a form of presence stronger than constant noise. It lingers in the mind, it provokes curiosity, and it awakens a desire to reconnect. And even if that desire is not acted upon, the message is clear: your energy is not easy to access, your value is not endlessly on display, and your presence carries a weight that absence only magnifies. In the end, mystery does what words cannot. It keeps you unforgettable. When attention is withdrawn, something remarkable takes place. The flow of energy reverses. At first, When someone pulls away, it feels natural to want to chase, to fill the gap, to restore the connection. But the moment you choose not to, the dynamic shifts completely. Instead of your energy flowing outward, instead of constantly being the giver, you reclaim that force and hold it within. This reversal changes everything because it flips the balance of who is pursuing and who is being pursued. Human nature works in contrasts. When attention is abundant, it often feels less valuable. When it is scarce, it suddenly becomes a treasure. By ignoring, you disrupt the rhythm the other has grown accustomed to. Where once they expected a reaction, there is silence. Where they anticipated validation, there is distance. Where they thought your presence was guaranteed, they now face uncertainty. This lack of expected response unsettles the dynamic, and the absence begins to tug at them in the very way their withdrawal once tugged at you. The pull they created is now reflected back, and they are left to experience the very imbalance they caused. This reversal of energy is not about games, it is about balance. Relationships of any kind thrive when energy flows naturally back and forth. But when one side begins to retreat and the other chases harder, the balance tips, creating a cycle where one holds power while the other loses it. By choosing to ignore instead of chase, you refuse to feed that imbalance. You allow the natural order to correct itself. The pursuer becomes the pursued, and the one who once felt certain now feels unsure. That uncertainty fuels attention, and that attention reopens the connection, not because you demanded it, but because the shift in energy made it irresistible. It is also empowering for you. Redirecting energy back to yourself means rediscovering your own worth. The focus is no longer on gaining someone else's approval or restoring their interest. It is on protecting your peace, valuing your silence, and choosing your dignity over desperation. That shift in mindset radiates outward, making you appear stronger, calmer, more self-assured. And strength has its own magnetic pull. People are naturally drawn to those who seem unbothered, who do not beg for validation, who can stand in silence with confidence. By ignoring, you embody that presence, and it pulls attention back toward you in ways chasing never could. This reversal does more than just alter attraction, it brings clarity. Because once the energy flips, one of two outcomes will always emerge. Either they move closer, realizing the value of what they risked losing, or they continue to stay distant, showing you their absence is permanent. Either way, you win. You win because you no longer give away your energy freely. You win because you no longer dance to the rhythm of someone else's inconsistency. You win because by ignoring, you did not lose control, you reclaimed it. Self-empowerment begins the moment you decide not to give your energy away to someone who has already stepped back. Ignoring is not just about creating distance. It is about reclaiming control over your emotions, your choices, and your sense of worth. Too often, when someone withdraws, the instinct is to question yourself, to chase, to seek answers that may never come. But the act of ignoring is a declaration that your peace is not dependent on anyone else's presence. It is a reminder that you are enough whether they stay or whether they go. This form of empowerment is quiet but strong. It teaches you restraint, discipline, and self-respect. Instead of pouring energy into endless explanations, you pour it into yourself. You rediscover what makes you whole outside of someone else's attention. You nurture your own growth, your own passions, your own light. And when that happens, something changes in the way you carry yourself. You no longer approach situations from a place of need. You approach them from a place of abundance. That shift is powerful because it radiates confidence, and confidence has a natural pull that chasing never could. Ignoring also sets boundaries without words. It communicates clearly that you will not participate in a dynamic where you are undervalued. Boundaries are not walls to shut people out. They are gates that determine who is worthy of your energy and who is not. By ignoring, you establish that your attention is not endless, that it must be earned, and that your worth does not diminish simply because someone chooses to step back. This boundary not only protects your heart, it also sends a strong message that you cannot be taken for granted. Self-empowerment through silence also allows space for healing. Chasing keeps wounds open, keeps the mind restless, and keeps emotions raw. But when you choose not to react, you give yourself permission to detach from that pain. You allow your heart to breathe again. You create the conditions where clarity can emerge, where you see the situation for what it is rather than what you wish it to be. That clarity is empowering because it removes the illusion of helplessness. You are no longer trapped in waiting. You are actively choosing yourself. And perhaps the most beautiful part of this empowerment is that it is not about controlling the other. It is about controlling yourself. You cannot decide what someone else will do, whether they will return or disappear forever. But you can decide how you respond, and that choice changes everything. When you ignore, you prove to yourself that your happiness is not tied to their behavior. You prove that you have the strength to walk away, to stand tall, to remain at peace even in silence. That realization becomes a turning point. It shifts you from feeling powerless to feeling in command of your own life. This is why ignoring is not weakness. It is strength. It is self-empowerment in its purest form. It is choosing dignity over desperation, peace over chaos, and self-worth over fear of loss. And once you embody that power, no withdrawal can ever truly shake you again. When silence is chosen, when the decision is made not to chase, the outcome always moves toward one of two paths: the return or the release. Ignoring is not just a pause in communication, it is a filter that reveals the truth. It shows whether the bond was strong enough to withstand space or whether it was only sustained by your constant effort. This is where the clarity comes in. By stepping back, you no longer guess, no longer cling to half answers. Instead, you watch what unfolds naturally, and in that unfolding, the truth becomes undeniable. Sometimes the silence creates a magnetic pull too strong to resist. The absence stirs reflection, awakening a recognition of what was lost. The distance forces the other to feel the gap and to realize the value of the connection that once felt secure. In this scenario, ignoring does not drive them further away. It draws them back, often with more intention than before. The return, when it happens, is rarely casual. It comes with awareness, with renewed effort, with a desire to close the space that silence created. And the beauty here is that you did not demand it, did not chase it, did not force it. The return happened because your absence spoke louder than any words ever could. But the other outcome, the release, is equally powerful. When someone does not come back, when silence is met with more silence, it reveals that their distance was never temporary. It was a choice, a truth you may not have wanted to face before. At first, this realization can sting, but soon it becomes liberating. By ignoring, you did not trap yourself in endless waiting. You allowed space for clarity to arrive. Their absence becomes the answer, and in that answer, you are freed. Freed from illusions, freed from wasted energy, freed from cycles that would have only drained you further. Both the return and the release serve you, because both bring resolution. One rekindles a bond with more depth, the other clears the path for something better. Either way, ignoring ensures you no longer remain stuck in uncertainty. You no longer live in the exhausting space of chasing questions with no answers. You no longer hand over control of your emotions to someone else's inconsistency. Instead, you stand in your silence and allow the truth to reveal itself. The return or the release, whichever comes, teaches the same lesson: your worth is not tied to whether someone stays or goes. Your power lies in your choice to let silence speak for you. If they return, it is because they recognized your value. If they do not, it is because life is redirecting you towards someone or something that will. In either outcome, you rise stronger, clearer, and more aligned with yourself. Ignoring, then, is not about loss. It is about letting the universe rearrange what is meant for you. Silence, absence, and distance are not empty gestures. They are choices that carry weight. By ignoring, you are not punishing, you are not playing games, and you are not losing. You are creating space for truth to rise. In that space, curiosity grows, balance returns, power shifts, and clarity unfolds. Sometimes that silence pulls someone back with a stronger grip than words ever could. Other times, it allows the release of what was never truly meant to stay. But either way, the result is the same. You reclaim yourself. You rediscover the strength of your own presence, the value of your own boundaries, and the peace that comes from no longer chasing what is uncertain. What happens when you ignore is not about them. It is about you stepping into your own power, where silence becomes your voice and your dignity becomes your anchor.